Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to learn what is a for loop and how we can use for loop. So as we know, the idea behind using loops is to perform same task iteratively. And to perform those tasks we have a while loop as we have seen earlier, and then comes this for loop which we can use to perform iterations. So let's talk about the syntax of using for loop. Now the syntax of for loop starts with a keyword for, and then we have four phases, which the first one is initialization, in which we perform initializing variable, or we can define them right here. Then comes a condition which returns true or false and tells the for loop that it's time to go for a next pass, or to terminate this loop. So if this condition is false, we are just out of the loop, and if it's true, then we are ready for next iteration. After the condition is evaluated, and if the condition is true, then we go for the body of the for loop, and after executing the body we are right here in the iteration phase, in which we usually increment or decrement the loop control variables which we define right here in the initialization phase. And after the iteration we get back right to condition, which is again checked, and if the condition returns true, then we are again in the body of the loop, and if this condition is false, so we are just out of the for loop. Now comes the interesting part, that the initialization phase of the for loop is executed only once for the first time. After that it's no more executed, and we are just in the condition and body, and after that we are iteration and then condition and then body. Then the same cycle continues until the condition becomes false. As soon as it becomes false, we are just out of the loop and we get back right here. So let's see how things work. So let's say I have a variable a, and I have assigned a value 0 to this variable, and I can start a for loop by writing a keyword for, and then for initialization let's say I am incrementing the value of a by 1, and for condition let's say a must be less than 10, and for iteration let's say I am incrementing the value of a. It's not necessary that you have to increment the a variable for initialization. You can just do something like this. You can assign the value 1 to this variable right here, but let's say I have to assign one value, so this works fine. So now let's say I have to go through the values of a for each pass, so I can do system.out.println, and now I can print the value of a. And for a message let's say value of and for a message I'll say value of a is, and equals to, of course, a variable. So if I save it and run it, here I got the result that the value of a starts with 1, as I have initialized it to one step more than 0, so it's obviously 1. And after the a has been initialized to 1, the condition is checked, so 1 is less than 10, which is true. So we are into the body of the for loop. So for the first pass, value of a 1 is printed on the console. And now we are into the iteration phase, so value of a is incremented by 1, and now it's 2, so it's time to check the condition again. So 2 is less than 10, which is true this time, so again we got a result as value of a is 2. And now it's time to check for the third pass, and it goes something like 3, and then condition is checked, and then we are into the body of the for loop, and this goes until the value of a becomes 10. So of course 10 is not less than 10, so for a equals to 10 this statement doesn't execute, and we just get out of this for loop. Now let's say I want to work with multiple variables, so you can do something that you have a variable b and you have also initialized it to 0, so I can do the same right here. I can do b plus plus, so b will be initialized to 1 for the first time, and in increment I can also perform multiple operation. I can increment b here. But for now, let's keep things simple, and I'll just print the value of b right here. So I can say value of b is, and it's of course the variable b. So if I save it and run it, here I got the result. Value of a is 1 and it goes to 9, and at last I got the value of b, which is 1. So as you can see right here, only this first statement is being iterated again and again. We don't have this statement in each pass. So let's print this statement in the loop. So what I will do, I will just declare a block right here, and I will put all these statement inside this block. So the idea is clear. If you want to iterate only one statement, then there is no need to declare a block, or otherwise if you want multiple statements to be executed, so that's why you have to declare a block. So if I run this piece of code, so here I got the result. Value of a goes from 1 to 9, but b remains the same as we have not incremented this at all. So a here is loop control variable, because a is the one who is controlling the loop, that for what times this loop is going to iterate this body. Now if you want to make changes to b as well, so you can do just this to change the value of b for each pass. So if I run this now, so I get this result. So value of b is also being incremented for each pass. As we can see, value of b is 1, and then each step it's being incrementing by 1, and at last I got the value of b as 9. Now the variable I have declared right here, you can declare it inside this for loop. Right here I can do that a is of integer type and the value is 0, and for b it's also integer type and the value is 0. So as I have declared it twice, so I have to comment this one. So now for this for loop I have defined two variables right in this for loop. So what's the idea behind declaring these loops inside for or outside for is the scope of the variable. If you define the variables inside for loop, then the scope is right into this for loop, but if you declare them outside, you can access the variable outside the for loop as well. So nothing gets changed if you are declaring those loop control variable inside for loop, or you are declaring them outside. It's only the scope that matters. So this is all about for loop and working of for loop.